y'all, it's Paula with Hillbilly Orchids. Welcome back to my channel. Hope everybody's having a fantastic weekend. I am here to talk about phals, okay? I did a video last weekend about how I'm fertilizing. I just gave you the numbers, just went over that. Gave you the numbers and that kind of thing, and it kind of prompted some things because people have been asking questions about phals. So how about let's start off every week on Friday with a Phal Friday. It's kind of like a thing that goes on Instagram. They do a Phal Friday where they send in pictures of their phals on Friday. They post pictures or they put up a story about their phals. So they do have Phal Friday. So I thought, well, that would be cool. We'll do that on my channel. And so everything that we talk about will be, about phals. So we'll go over something in depth because I've been asked about lighting for them. I've been asked about, fertilizers for them and different things. And so I thought, well, there's certain aspects of Phalaenopsis that we could cover and discuss, at a little more depth than we normally do. So how does that sound to you guys? Would that sound like something that would interest y'all? I talked about it a little bit in Weekend Walk Around because I actually filmed it before I did this video. So yeah, you'll see it tomorrow. I'll be asking y'all to answer in the comments if this would be something that you would be interested in. So, do it in the comments of this one if you don't mind. Answer me. Do you guys want me to start doing a special video on Phals Friday, so that we can discuss everything Phalaenopsis on Fridays? And I might try to, I haven't done a live stream yet, okay? I'm considering maybe on Fridays we could do a live stream Phal talk where you guys could ask me questions and I could answer them. That might be something too that we could think about possibly doing. But I know it's kind of hard for everybody to get on, at probably the time of day that is easier for me to do it. That's why I usually try to film my videos ahead of time and then I upload them and schedule them. That way I know they're just out there so that whenever you have time during the day, you can get to them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think live stream might be a little harder for everybody to get to. But I think it would be cool because, there's a lot of people that have questions. And that way I could answer them, right away. And, and we could do that every week on Phals. And then, of course, it uploads. So it would be like actually still doing a video on Friday talking about Phalaenopsis. So let me know what you guys think. Give me some of your comments about it down below in the comment section, and let me know what you guys think. But today I wanted to talk about, now, do you guys remember back when the phals started spiking, I cut back the nitrogen. I had one special watering can that I cut back the nitrogen. I kind of left the micronutrients because I'm still using the Jack's 2-part system. So I lowered the nitrogen from it being, equal parts, because when these guys are starting, and I know this one finished its bloom spike. That's why the blooms have fell. But just say this was a spike coming out on this. I cut back the nitrogen because the nitrogen causes cakeys. The nitrogen can cause cakeys. And until you see buds forming, then you can switch back up the nitrogen again and start putting higher nitrogen back to them. Because sometimes at this point when they're forming that spike, they'll want to put a keiki on there instead of a bud. So what you do is you lower the nitrogen at that point in time. Now, a lot of times you can't do that if you're using like a premix. It's too hard to do. That's why the Jack's 2-part is so great, because you have such, there's no stopping you what kind of mixes you can make, what kind of ratios you can make with them, and everything. So it's helpful. Like I said, for these, when I wanted to lower the nitrogen, that's what I did. But I kept the part B high. So these guys were getting a lot of micronutrients at the time, but not so much nitrogen. Okay. So now there's also another situation that goes on with Phalaenopsis when they're not spiking and they're growing a new leaf. It's time to up the game with them. You got to up the feed. You got to really increase the parts per million, and you up the nitrogen because it's growing a leaf. So now's the time you've got to kick it in gear for this plant, where the blooms don't need so much nitrogen, because the more nitrogen you feed a bloom, you could shorten its, like if you feed real high, you could shorten its lifespan. You could shorten a bloom span on a Phalaenopsis by making it way increased nitrogen, okay? So at this stage, like see that actually that one, the spike is dying on it, but it is making a new leaf. Now, possibly what's happening is I'm not feeding it enough, so it's going to use the spike to grow that leaf. So I need to up the game for this plant. And I'm going to do that because this is when I get my tree fern, this was going to go in tree fern. I'm going to actually repot this one and put it in tree fern. But then I'm going to really up the nitrogen on this one. So Rick had told me about that. He's like, go around now, pay attention. Your phals that are in spike, like see here, Stortiana nobilius is in bloom, full bloom, but she is not growing a new leaf yet. So this one is fine with the nutrients the way they are. So this one is not. This one needs more food because it is growing a brand new leaf. So that's what I'm kind of going by now on these guys. Most of them are not making new leaves as of yet because they're in bloom mode. But the longer these spikes are up, a leaf will come. A leaf will eventually perk out there and decide that, yeah, it's time to grow a leaf. So eventually I will have to increase these guys. Now, actually, too, I told you the parts per million I'm going to increase when the weather starts warming up. So I'm going to bump it up to probably about 250 to 300 parts per million-ish to really get these guys growing, because that's when they usually start growing well, is in the summertime. So, yeah, so those are two things where you kind of have to play with the nitrogen to get these phals to respond how they want. You know what I mean? Like I said, this one, you know, you lower the nitrogen till they make buds so that you make sure it's going to bud and not cakey. And then when they don't have a spike and they're growing a leaf, again, you up the nitrogen and you feed this plant because it's growing a new structure. It needs food. It needs a boost. So that's what you do. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So, that's kind of all we're going to discuss with that on this week is how you play with nitrogen during different cycles of a Phalaenopsis, and the different things that it can do for you, and the things that, be it good or bad. You know, nitrogen can do good things, nitrogen can do bad things. So you kind of have to play it as a monkey in the middle kind of thing. Like I said, too high a nitrogen will shorten the lifespan of these blooms. So they really, like if you really feed a high nitrogen, these blooms could fall right off, because they don't like real high nitrogen, not when they're in bloom. It's kind of like mediocre. Like I said, I'm doing 1-to-1 ratio right now with my Jacks. And that means at 200 parts per million, I'm doing a 1-to-1 ratio. So 100 parts per million of one, 100 parts per million of the other. Now this one here, probably what I'll do is I'll keep it 1-to-1 ratio still, but I'm going to up the parts per million of this one's feed. Now, granted, in a big collection like mine, it's hard to pull special care for just one plant. It is. But when you look around, and as you do, when you're watering, many more than one plant are growing leaves. That's a baby plant, which needs to continue to grow. So you see, that's why looking around at each one, right there beside that one's growing a new leaf. It needs a higher boost of feed. So kind of in the seedling aspect, you do need to, watch it and see if they're growing leaves, and they too could definitely use a food boost. So, but it's just these that you don't want to feed high, and you don't want to give them high amounts of nitrogen. So, yep. But hopefully that makes sense to y'all. If you have any questions, please, put them in the comments, and let me know. Let me know what y'all think. So we'll start off our Phal Friday talks. So, that'll do it. And if you can give me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you can give me a share, that would be amazing. If you like my content, you can stick around and subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It just helps my channel along. And if you could give me a super thanks that will help for my upcoming projects, that would be greatly appreciated. So with that said, I do appreciate each and every one of you beautiful, wonderful people stopping by and hanging out with me. And bye for now, y'all. Till we meet again.